Hi, and welcome back to DIY with Jeannie. I'm Jeannie, and um, if it's your first time here, welcome. If you are a repeat viewer, welcome back. It's good to have you. Today we're going to do a paper craft, but we're not going to do the whole craft. I've seen these in a lot of different ways, decorated, but nobody has shown us how to make the box. So what I did was I found all of the dimensions for making a matchbox. So you're going to have one piece that when it's unfolded looks like this, and it is 1/4 of an inch, 1 3/8 inch, 1/4 of an inch, 1 3/8 inch, and then about 1/8 of an inch, and that is your glue panel for this side. Then your tray is more tricky. You have a 2 3/16, has to be that long, which is how long this is. That's what your tray length is. But you're going to add 6/8 or 3/4 to both ends. And the reason you're going to do that is because you're going to need these flaps to make the edges more sturdy. So you have your middle and then a 3/8 panel on both sides and another 3/8 panel on both sides. Same thing for the top and bottom. You have 2 3/16 and then 3/8, 3/8, 3/8, 3/8. So that when we get ready to put this all together, here's what you have. And what I've done already is I have cut these tabs so that when I fold it, and I'm going to go ahead and, no, I'm going to leave these long, but I'm cutting off this piece. So originally I made a whole square, and I will give you those dimensions real. This, it is 3/8. That is our 3/4 of an inch, both sides, 1 1/2 inches to 1 3/8. 4/8. 1 3/8 is 2 7/8. So that is 2 7/8. So if you're making your rectangles first, 2 7/8 by 3 11/16. And 2 3/16 by 2 6/8. So that's 2 3/4, another half, 3, 4 1/4, 4 3/8. So that is what our rectangles would look like. Okay, so we're going to move that to the side. So now we have these. And I just use food boxes. It just happens to be Rice Krispie treats. So we want to cover it. And you want to use, depending on how thick your cardboard is, you want to use paper, not cardstock. So get paper. We are just going to make this one plaid. Okay, so let's cut it at about this line because I want to wrap over. So which line is that? Here. This line? Make sure again. Just before I cut it, I want to make sure. And honestly, I would use a paper cutter. And I don't know why I didn't think about that at the very beginning of that whole process. And then we want the same thing for our bottom. We do not have to cover the inside of the bottom because we're going to be putting a miniature in there. We're going to be building inside. Not today, but eventually. because I want to do some miniature work. Get that out of the way. So we have our paper, and we are going to glue it down. Hang on, I've got to get my glue. Okay, so we're just going to be using glue stick today. I don't use a lot of glue stick because out here I live in the desert and it does not stay sticky. It'll eventually pull away. But for this right now, I think it'll be fine. We want to make sure we go all the way to the edges. That's the other reason why I don't like using glue sticks, because it picks the paper up and makes it all crinkly, and I don't like that. But get too much wet on there and you have just almost the same problem. So let's find our piece that we... I've lost my box. Honest to goodness. That's what happens when I don't clean up while I'm working. Alright, so we're just gonna do this one first because I don't know where I put the other one. We just want to make sure it is glued down. Okay, so now we are just going to cut all of those places so that it can make corners. Start with this end, let's fold it over, and like I said, that is the problem with the desert, is that it dries so quickly. There we go. Got that working really well now. It'll help if I cut that side. And again, how neat it is in here does not matter, because we are going to be decorating over this. This is the inside of our box. Went and grabbed the regular glue, and I use these little tiny bottles. They have this little tiny metal tip. I put just glue. This just happens to be Crafter's Square glue. It's clear glue. And I fill up these little tiny bottles, and you can while you're using them, stick a pin down in them. It keeps this from getting clogged up. That seems to be my biggest complaint. Just get a straight pin and seal it with that. But it is so much easier to use. So we'll put this piece on, and then we will build our little box with this. I like this because it's easier to handle. It's easier to get just a small amount of glue where I want it, not a big old glob that now I have to deal with. This glue is thick. It does not wish to come out this little tube. That is the only issue, is that it does not like this little bitty. Okay, we're going to come back to you in a minute because I'm not willing to fight that fight right now. But you'll notice, see the tiny glue that I got out of it, and then when I go to this one, even though I cut it on the tip where it said, see how much comes out? But it's super thick, so it does not like that little bitty bottle. Now what I'm going to do is take some of this other cardboard that I haven't used. It's really not that big, not really big enough for me to make patterns from. Just get this down. And let's lay our piece down. Now we're going to cut at an angle. You want to leave just a tiny bit. Not quite that much paper. Leave just a bit at the corner. If you cut too close, what will happen is you'll be able to see your cardboard corner, and nobody wants that. All right, so I have glue everywhere. Trust me, I have glue everywhere. I fold that over, go over, over here. I can trim that corner right there. Now, before it gets too far gone, I want to go back and crease those places. A little crease there, and a crease there. Now, when I put it back together, now what I'm going to do to get this to stick, because it isn't sticking, I'm going to use our little clips that we use for sewing. And I am just going to clip it down. Lay it down. Clip it. Lay it down. And clip it. And this will get it to stick, and we'll come back and put it all together. So, those are doing pretty good. Down well. These are good. All right, so I'm gonna set that to the side. Now let's put our box together. We are going to glue this side down. Come on. This is some thick glue. Lay it down and get a clamp, and it's going to take a few times, I think. I don't think we're going to be able to get this box put together in one go. Do the same thing on the other side, and we're not going to do the top yet, the top and bottom, because we have to bring this side up to do that. go. We're just going to let that sit. Make sure it's going to fold up the way it should. Come on, guys. There we go. That's the way it's going to fold up. We're going to tuck these little guys inside and fold this over and glue it down. So that's how that gets held together. We're going to do the same thing on this end, but we'll come back and do that in just a few minutes. Let this side cure. So we'll be back. Okay, our pieces are now dry. So what we want to do is glue this edge on there. Now it will be three-dimensional. You'll be able to pop the sides up, but to get it to where I can clamp it, I want it flat like so. So I'm going to glue under this edge right here. And I'm going to clip that down. We're going to have to hope it doesn't glue to the end. Now this piece, it's going to fold up and in, like so, and then this one over. So for it, we are going to glue on this edge right here. So let's get it glued and clamped, and then once it dries, I'll show you what the whole thing looks like and how we can use it as a box. Go ahead and put glue on both ends. I want to pull those legs in, those little edge pieces. Fold it over. And we want to clip it on. And put those in, up, and clip that in. Now we have our little base to our box. Make sure it's all pushed in nice and tight. There we go. And we will let it sit aside and dry, and come back and put the whole thing so you can see how it all goes together. So let's let that dry, and we will come back to it. Let me bend this away. So I can make sure it's not, the glue didn't seep out to where it will. I just wanted to get it the other way as well. There we go. We will let those dry and come back and see the finished matchbox. Okay, we're back. We have our box finished. We've got the bottom where it slides in and out of our little box. Now, I do want to make a couple of corrections. The box, it came out the right shape, but it was too small. I don't know what I was thinking. I knew this side was 3/8, and yet I only gave myself 1/4 of an inch. I don't know. It should have been 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. So I have redone the bottom measurements for you. 1/4 of an inch on this side, 1 5/8 because it needs to be longer here. It doesn't need to be the same size as this one because remember we have to go around it. 1 1/2 on this one, 1 5/8 and 1 1/2. And this is just your flap to fold over so that we can glue it down. But now you'll notice that the box nicely fits in and out, and we can come in and put a miniature scene in it later. I've seen all kinds. I've seen where they put little dolls in here, little different scenes. I'm going to come back and do a village scene in it. So that is my plan. But there you go. There is our finished box. Here is our finished numbers, which, like I said, don't know what I was thinking. This one came out much too small. but this one's the right size. So these measurements are correct. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe and hit that bell icon so that you know when I put up new content. A lot of what we do is sewing, but I do like to just kind of go off on my own every once in a while and go, I want to make, and then I just make something that's completely different. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you come back and visit with us again. And until then, have a great day.